Good afternoon and welcome. You're watching DD India Live with me, Deepika, India's voice to the world. In the next half an hour, we will get you all the top headlines. Let's begin. The all-party delegation start returning home after concluding their highly productive visits to key partner countries, successfully showcases India's continued fight against terrorism. Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Richard Marles to hold bilateral talks with Indian Defence Minister. Regional and global security issues on the agenda. Newly elected South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung assumes office, vows to boost US-Japan ties and pursue talks with North. United States doubles its tariff on imported steel and aluminium. Move marks the latest salvo in Trump's trade wars, bringing levies on both the metals from 25 to 50%. And Royal Challengers Bengaluru lift their maiden IPL title, beating Punjab Kings 11 by 6 runs. Fans celebrate historic maiden title trophy for the team. The multi-party delegations carrying the message of India's principled and resolute stand against terrorism have started returning home after concluding their successful visit to respective countries. The delegation, led by a member of the Indian Parliament, Sanjay Kumar Jha, arrived in Delhi on Tuesday after concluding a multi-nation visit aimed at bolstering international support against cross-border terrorism. The delegation visited Singapore, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia and Indonesia as part of a global outreach initiative. During the visit, the delegation engaged with foreign leaders, senior officials, influential think tanks, media and the Indian diaspora as part of their international outreach.
ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन जाने से सरकार जो भेजी उसका एक बड़ा मैसेज सब जगह इन लोगों को ये जरूर आश्चर्य लगा कि पूरा देश इस इशू पर एक साथ है टेररिज्म के खिलाफ और सारे पार्टी के लोग एक वॉइस में बात कर रहे थे। जो घटना पहलगांव में हुई उस घटना को लेकर के देश को लेकर के और जो विक्टिम का परिवार है उसको लेके कंडोलेंस सब जगह था। तीसरा जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात निकल के आया कि इंडिया जिस हिसाब से टेररिस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को प्रिसीजन के साथ खत्म किया, जो सिविलियन को टारगेट नहीं किया, उसको भी अप्रिशिएट की। एक बात हम लोगों ने जरूर वहां आग्रह किया हर एक जगह, जिसका कि एक तरह से समर्थन भी था कि जो एक्शन टास्क है आपको इसके लिए पाकिस्तान को जो टेररिस्ट फंडिंग होता है किसी कंट्री के द्वारा उसको ग्रे लिस्ट में या ब्लैक लिस्ट में डालते हैं। पूरा डेलीगेशन जाने से मैसेज बड़ा स्ट्रांग गया।
Another all-party delegation led by a member of the Indian Parliament, Supriya Sule, also concluded their multi-nation visit on Tuesday. On the second day of their visit to Egypt, the delegation called on Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt. Both the sides acknowledged the growing momentum in the India-Egypt strategic partnership and reaffirmed their unified stand against terrorism. Foreign Minister Abdulati reiterated Egypt's full solidarity with India and welcomed deeper bilateral collaboration on counter-terrorism. The delegation later paid solemn tribute at the Heliopolis War Memorial in Cairo to the numerous Indian soldiers who laid down their lives during World Wars I and II, underscoring the enduring historical bonds and shared sacrifices between India and Egypt. The delegation also engaged with the leaders, intellectuals and opinion makers in Egypt in an interactive session chaired by former Foreign Minister of Egypt, Nabil Fahmy. The delegation clearly articulated India's strong resolve to combat terrorism and welcomed Egypt's condemnation of terrorism in strongest terms. After concluding their four-nation diplomatic visit, the Indian parliamentary delegation led by the Member of Parliament Dr. Shrikant Shinde arrived in New Delhi. As part of the visit, the delegation travelled to the UAE, Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sierra Leone, engaging in high-level meetings to strengthen bilateral relations and promote India's global outreach. In a notable diplomatic milestone, Shrikant Shinde became the only Indian member of the parliament to address the national parliaments of both Liberia and Sierra Leone. Multi-party delegation led by a member of Indian Parliament, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, arrived in Washington, D.C. India's all-party delegation's visit to the U.S. is part of India's larger global outreach following the Pahalgam terror attack aimed at conveying India's zero-tolerance policy on terrorism. Over the next 2 days, the delegation will be meeting members of the U.S. Congress and administration, think tanks, media and policymakers to brief them on Operation Sindoor and India's strong stand against terrorism. The delegation had earlier visited Brazil, Panama, Guyana and Colombia and will now travel to the United States to continue their diplomatic outreach. Another all-party delegation led by a member of Indian Parliament, Ravi Shankar Prasad, arrived in Brussels after concluding their visit to the United Kingdom. India's ambassador to Belgium, Saurabh Kumar, received them at the airport in Brussels on Tuesday. During the 2-day visit, the delegation is scheduled to hold several meetings aimed at consolidating global consensus against cross-border terrorism. Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Richard Marles arrived in New Delhi this morning. The Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister of India and Australia visited National War Memorial and paid tributes to fallen soldiers by laying wreath at the National War Memorial. The visiting dignitary will hold bilateral talks with the Indian Defence Minister in New Delhi today to discuss and deepen defence cooperation. Defence and security are key pillars of the comprehensive strategic partnership, with both the nations committed to peace, stability and a rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific. Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister's visit to India coincides with the 5th anniversary of Australia and India's comprehensive strategic partnership that underpins India's relationship with shared vision for the Indian Ocean. Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal suggested setting up working groups between businesses of India and France that could enable focused attention on emerging sectors and those with high potential to deepen engagement between the two sides. The minister participated in the WTO Trade Ministers Gathering on the margins of OECD Ministerial Council meeting in Paris. The leaders had a discussion on several issues concerning WTO and multilateral trade. Addressing businesses of both the sides in Paris, during his visit, Union Minister highlighted the India opportunity driven by a skilled and talented workforce and the government's commitment to ease of doing business and how it offers promising avenues for French companies. Encouraged companies from both the sides are all set to collaborate by building on shared interests and leveraging each other's competencies. Union Minister Piyush Goyal interacted with Israel's Minister of Economy and Industry, Ner Parkat, and had discussions focused on diversifying trade basket, fostering innovation and strengthening cooperation in high-tech and emerging sectors, paving the way for the next phase of partnership. From France, Union Minister Piyush Goyal will depart for Italy, which is the second leg of his visit, where further engagements with industry leaders and government officials are scheduled. Now, government-owned Oil India Limited has commenced natural gas production from the Bakri Tibba block located in the desert belt near the India-Pakistan border in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer district. OIL achieved rapid monetization of the DSF-3 block by successfully drilling 3 minimum work program wells within the development window. The development is significant for India that remains heavily dependent on imported natural gas. Government data shows that nearly half of the country's gas requirement is met through imported liquefied natural gas, sourced primarily from countries such as Qatar and the USA. The Indian Meteorological Department issued an orange alert for 11 states including Assam, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, highlighting the possibility of light to moderate rainfall across these regions accompanied by thunderstorms. The weather forecast for Delhi indicates the possibility of mostly cloudy skies, mild rain, thunderstorms and strong winds. The highest temperature is expected to be between 35 and 37 degrees Celsius, proving some relief from the persistent summer highs. The IMD has also issued a yellow alert urging the residents to stay weather aware. IMD stated the region would continue to witness rainfall activity for the next 5 to 7 days in the northeast Indian states of Assam, Sikkim, Manipur and Mizoram along with Meghalaya and Tripura. The Assam flood situation worsened with over 6.3 lakh people affected in 21 districts. The death toll rises to 12 now. Sribhumi remains the worst hit district for the second consecutive day with 2.3 lakh people affected. Transportation has taken a setback with road, rail and ferry services disrupted due to persistent heavy rainfall in several regions. As per the latest report, the Kathakal River is flowing above its highest flood level. Overall, 8 rivers are flowing above the dangerous level. A total number of 511 relief camps or centers were set up. The SDRF, DDRF, inland and water transport, fire and emergency services, local administration officers are on carrying out rescue operations relentlessly. In Sikkim, the evacuation process at Lachen and Chatain is yet to start due to inclement weather condition. The IAF helicopter could not operate due to bad weather, but official sources said that IAF chopper and NDRF teams are trying all possible options to evacuate the stranded passengers at the Mangan district. Yesterday, 34 persons were rescued safely by the IAF and NDRF teams. According to the district collector of Mangan, around 130 tourists still stranded at Lachen. All the stranded tourists are safe and staying in their hotels. However, mobile communication has been disrupted at Lachen, but communication is on through NDRF's satellite phones. Sikkim Governor Om Prakash Mathur visited Singatam in Gangtok district on Tuesday to monitor the situation. The governor urged the local people to remain vigilant and also instructed the administration to provide all support to them. Meanwhile, the tourist department has issued advisory for tourists that roads leading to Lachen and Lachung are temporarily closed due to landslide, but there is no problem in visiting other places in Sikkim. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. United States announces visa restrictions targeting Central American officials. FBI arrests Chinese national for allegedly smuggling dangerous biological pathogen into the US. And up next, we'll get you how the fans are celebrating RCB's maiden title victory.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your country.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Now, South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, vowed to reach out to the nuclear-armed North and heal the wounds as he took the office on Wednesday after winning snap elections. Lee scored a thumping victory over conservative Kim Moon-so in snap elections, with his team and term beginning immediately after the vote tally was certified early on Wednesday. Lee spoke to South Korea's top military commander and formally assumed operational control of the country's armed forces on Wednesday, urging them to maintain readiness in case of Pyongyang provocations. However, the South Korean president, in his first address, vowed to pursue dialogue with Pyongyang and improve ties with Seoul's nuclear-armed neighbors.
아무리 비싼 평화도 전쟁보다는 낫습니다. 싸워서 이기는 것보다 싸우지 않고 이기는 것이 더 낫고, 싸울 필요 없는 평화가 가장 확실한 안보입니다. 북한 GDP의 2배에 달하는 국방비, 세계 5위의 군사력, 여기에 한미 군사 동맹에 기반한 강력한 억지력으로 북핵과 북한의 군사 도발에 대응하되 북한과의 소통 창구를 열고 대화 협력을 통해 한반도 평화를 구축해 나가겠습니다.
The White House said the election of Lee was free and fair, but the United States remained concerned and opposed to Chinese interference and influence in democracies around the world. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio congratulated Lee on his election victory and affirmed the two countries' shared commitment to the alliance and voiced his desire to deepen trilateral cooperation with Japan. The Secretary also underscored the need for three-way cooperation with Japan. Lee has expressed more conciliatory plans for ties with China and North Korea, in particular singling out the importance of China as a major trading partner while indicating reluctance to take a firm stand on security tensions in the Taiwan Strait. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba on Wednesday said that he wanted to energize cooperation with South Korea after new President Lee Jae-myung took power. Talking to the reporters in Tokyo, the Japanese Prime Minister said he would like to energize cooperation between Japan and South Korea as well as between Japan, United States and South Korea. Ishiba expressed hope of holding Japan-South Korea summit in the near future. Ishiba said Japan will strengthen ties with South Korea by engaging in active exchanges with the East Asian country. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Lee Jae-myung on his election as South Korea's president. In a message on social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi expressed optimism about collaborating with Lee to bolster the India-Republic of Korea Special Strategic Partnership. The United States doubled tariffs on imported steel and aluminium starting on Wednesday after the White House published an order signed by President Donald Trump. The move marks the latest salvo in Trump's trade wars, bringing levies on both the metals from 25 to 50%. But tariffs on metal imports from the UK will remain at 25%, while both the sides work out duties and quotas in line with the terms of their earlier trade pact. Now, Trump announced his decision to hike tariffs on steel and aluminium when he addressed workers at a U.S. steel plant in Pennsylvania last week. Since returning to the presidency in the month of January, Trump has imposed sweeping tariffs on allies and adversaries. He has also imposed tariffs on sector-specific imports like autos, apart from targeting steel and aluminium. The United States announces visa restrictions targeting Central American officials linked to deals with Cuba's medical labor export program that Washington denounces as a forced labor scheme. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday announced visa restrictions for several unnamed Central American government officials connected to Cuban medical mission programs that include elements of forced labor and the exploitation of Cuban workers. Rubio did not name the officials nor the countries they are from. In a statement, Rubio said the State Department will also revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from China and Hong Kong. President Donald Trump's administration has sought to ramp up deportations and revoke student visas as part of wide-ranging efforts to fulfill its hardline immigration agenda. The FBI has arrested Yunqing Jian, a Chinese national and University of Michigan researcher, for allegedly smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the USA. This fungus causes head blight, a disease affecting wheat, barley, maize and rice, leading to significant economic losses and health issues in humans and livestock. Evidence also indicates Jian had expressed loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party and had received funding from the Chinese government for similar work on this pathogen in China. Jian's boyfriend, who works at a Chinese university researching the same pathogen, has also been charged with smuggling the fungus into the US through Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Both individuals face charges of conspiracy, smuggling, false statements and visa fraud. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Tuesday that Tehran would not bow to pressure by the United States to dismantle its nuclear program. The U.S. proposal for a new nuclear deal was presented to Iran on Saturday by Omani Foreign Minister Syed Badr Abdul Saeedi, who was on a short visit to Tehran and has been mediating talks between Tehran and Washington. After 5 rounds of discussions between Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, several obstacles remain. Iran is poised to reject a US proposal to end a decades-old nuclear dispute. Among them are Iran's rejection of a US demand that it commit to scrapping uranium enrichment and its refusal to ship abroad its entire existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium, possible raw material for nuclear bombs. Tehran says it wants to master nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and has long denied accusations by Western powers that it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons.
ما از حق و حقوق علمی و کارشناسی و هسته خودمون به هیچ وجه کوتاه نخواهیم آمد. خواب یه چنین چیزی رو ببینن که اینا تصور کنن با تهدید و یا با تطمیع خواهند توانست مسلمان ها رو و کشورهای اسلامی رو از حقوق مسلمی که آگاهی علم خلاقیت بگن شما نمیتونید در این منطقه علمی بیایید وارد بشید. هیچ وجدان بیداری، هیچ انسان آزاده‌ای قتل و غارت و کشتاری رو که اسرائیلیا و با پشتیبانی آمریکا و اروپا داره تو منطقه انجام میده اگر ببینه نمیپذیره.
Ecuador's Congress on Tuesday approved a constitutional reform to allow the establishment of foreign military bases in the country. The proposal was supported by 82 lawmakers, while 60 voted against and 6 abstained. It must now be put to the voters in a referendum on a date set by the electoral authorities. The measure is a campaign promise of President Daniel Noboa as he seeks US military backing in his fight against violent drug gangs. Noboa, who began a full term in late May, has said international cooperation is required to combat drug trafficking groups operating across jurisdictions. The United States held a military base in the South American country at the fishing port of Manta until 2009, when a constitutional prohibition entered into effect that Noboa wants overturned. And now let's get you all the latest action from the world of sports, to begin with tennis. World number 1, Aryna Sabalenka ended Olympic champion Cheng Qinwen's run at the French Open to seal a spot in the French Open semi-finals. The top seed from Belarus won 7-6, 6-3 against the Chinese 8th seed. Triple defending champion Iga Swiatek marched into the last four at Roland Garros with a straight sets victory over Alina Svitolina. Swiatek continues her bid to equal a 102-year-old record by winning 4 successive French Open titles. The Polish will face Sabalenka in the semi-finals. In men's singles category, defending champion Carlos Alcaraz steamrolled past American 12th seed Tommy Paul by 6-0, 6-1, 6-4 in one of the most one-sided men's quarterfinal in Paris in recent memory. Meanwhile, Italian Lorenzo Musetti battled past American fiancé Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets after surviving a second set wobble to reach the French Open semi-finals for the first time. He will next take on Alcaraz in the semi-finals. In soccer, Lionel Messi participated in Argentina's training session on Tuesday as the national team prepares for the upcoming World Cup qualifying match against Chile. Argentina, under the leadership of coach Lionel Scaloni, faces a challenging schedule with 2 crucial South American qualifiers in the coming days. The reigning world champions will first travel to Santiago for Thursday's game against Chile, followed by a home fixture against Colombia at Buenos Aires' Monumental Stadium on the 10th of June. Argentina continues to lead the South American qualifying standings for the 2026 World Cup, having accumulated 31 points in 14 games with a record of 10 victories, 1 draw and 3 losses. In cricket, Royal Challengers Bengaluru secured their maiden Indian Premier League title on Tuesday night, beating Punjab Kings by 6 runs in the finals at Ahmedabad. From being a 3-time runners-up to claiming the IPL trophy, RCB has finally scaled the peak. After being invited to bat first, RCB scored 190 for 9 in the stipulated 20 overs. In response to this, Punjab Kings could manage to score 184 in stipulated 20 overs, with Shashank Singh scoring an unbeaten 61. 17 editions of yearning and heartbreak turned into pure joy for the massive RCB fan base as they gathered outside the Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium. Not just in Ahmedabad, but loyal fans all across India were extremely emotional as they witnessed their favourites lift a maiden IPL trophy. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from the country and the world. We'll be right back with more news and updates as we'll keep you updated. Thank you so much for joining us on DD India Live. Namaskar.